So our guest today is Jeff Wang. He's a contributor to the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter, and he is the host of Rocket Fuel Crypto, and he's an authority on it. And the thing is, he's come from the communist. I just left the Communist Republic of Hawaii, and Jeff just left the Communist Republic of San Francisco, or the city of San Francisco. And I'm moving out of Hawaii. It's that bad. I mean, I can't stand it. I love the island. I love the beauty. I love the people. But the government has gone so far woke left. It's hard to live there. And so we don't endorse anything. And that was this, one of the reasons I'm kind of hot on this subject is this friend of mine came and wanted me to endorse her coin because it's going to go to the moon. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. And I started, and when I challenged her, she goes, "But you're my friend. You have to endorse me." And I went, "You want me to set people up?" And that's what my concern is. So Jeff Wang is our contributor, but Jeff, you write for the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. What does that, I mean, are we making recommendations there, or are you talking about what's going on in the crypto industry?
We try to cover as much as possible. So there are a lot of individual projects, of course, that we talk about, but there are a lot of macro market forces that we have to explain as to why markets are moving the way they are. But we also get into details like NFTs and how to get involved with those. And obviously, that's a whole other segment, a whole other thing we could talk about in the future. But as different Web3 technologies come up, we bring them up.
I get pitched on NFTs also. I'm going, you got to be kidding me. But that's the world we live in, and that's why we have the Rich Dad radio show, and that's why we have the Rich Dad Crypto newsletter. So can we talk about this guy Biden who I trust as far as nowhere? He's going to bring out central bank cryptocurrency or something like that. What do you know about that?
Yeah, actually, the central bank digital currency, CBDCs, are kind of popping up all over the world. China was one of the first ones to do it. Mexico just proposed last week. They're going to have one in 3 years. So there are pros and cons to CBDCs. So the pros is actually, it's a better technology. It's instant settlement. You don't need to create banks. Actually, you actually can take banks out of the picture, which is kind of bad in some aspects too. But the negatives is there's going to be greater transparency for the government. People will have to probably KYC into any account they make, that everything that you transact is visible to the government. So these things are like what the public doesn't want, right? So how do you outweigh like the pros and cons? I'll give you an example in China. So there are methods in China where you can deposit into private wallets, very low amounts though, where you can send without the government seeing you. But in general, the government can see everything you do. Otherwise, if you have any large amount transacted, they know exactly who's sending to who. So that's kind of the summary of CBDCs, but we can go over like the executive order and other aspects of it too.
So my concern, I'm a layman, I know nothing because I barely, Sarah has to set up my cell phone every day because I get confused in there. But the thing I heard is what you just kind of mentioned here. Isn't the central bank crypto, isn't that big brother surveillance? They can watch what you're doing.
Yes. So if you, let's just take an example right now today. If I'm sending money to you, Jeff is sending money to Robert, I'm going through a bank, another third party, company or source that has your assets, right? What actually happens too is when I send the money to you, we have to wait a day or two for the money to settle with the Fed, right? To get all the books, and even within the bank, the books all settled. So it's a very, very old technology. It takes multiple days. It's actually very inefficient and very expensive to run. Right. So what the CBDC is trying to do is make sure you have a copy of the ledger, or we're interacting with a copy of the ledger. And when we send money to each other, both ledgers are updated. And that's it. Every other ledger is updated. So there's actually no other, we don't have to wait 24 hours for a settlement. We don't have to check with the Fed if that's the actual balance. It's all instant. So I think there's two things that we have to monitor there. One is that it was instant, the technology is better, but two is you're right. The government can see that I have sent you the exact amount of money to Robert, right? So like that is something that people are not as comfortable about.
I'm very uncomfortable with that because not that I do anything illegal, and not that I would admit it if I did it, but I just don't like the government knowing what's in my wallet and where I'm spending it and what I'm doing with it. So one of the reasons I recommend gold and silver coins is if I want to pay you money, I just give you the silver coin. It's not traceable. I kind of like that. And then if the power grid shuts down, you still have my little silver coin. It's your silver coin now. So anyway, how do you guys reconcile that in your heads about the possibility of Big Brother watching you, or George Orwell, I think, wrote that book.
I mean, that's kind of the reason why crypto is there, right? Because it doesn't require any relation to the government. And that's kind of why governments are acting all around the world, actually, due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, to kind of figure out what crypto is, how do you regulate it, how do you enforce it, what are the restrictions people should have when they take crypto and send it to each other, right? So this is like actively happening. Crypto is completely separated from the world financial system. And because of that, even the central bank digital currencies aren't really going to pose any control if people can just use this decentralized version of money, right?
So that brings up my next question, because what I hear about that is, what makes you think the government will allow individual private Bitcoins or cryptos to operate?
That's the thing about crypto. As long as you have a piece of paper that has a string of text in a certain combination, that is your wallet. You can send money and receive money off of it. Obviously, you have to go through some sort of node, but that means that anybody in the world can receive money and anybody can send money, and that's completely disconnected from any government.
So you're saying the government will not touch it?
The only thing the government can do is monitor where the money is coming off the ramp, right? So if I ever convert crypto into USD, I need to convert it somewhere and I need to deposit it somewhere, right? Obviously, that's not always the case. Maybe there's off ramps that directly go to some other country. But the point is, the government, what they're going to try to do, their strategy is to make sure anytime money converts from crypto to USD, that is monitored. And then if USD ever comes off of that platform, the government must know who that came from, right? Otherwise, in between, it's completely up in the air, although it is like transparent on the blockchain.
Yeah, there's a guy named Meyer Amschel Rothschild who said, "I care not who makes the rules, just let me control the money." So since I was a little kid at 9 years old studying money, I realized the only people that control money are governments, tyrants, and despots. And so that's the Federal Reserve Bank and the U.S. Treasury. And one of the reasons I have gold and silver and Bitcoin is because I don't trust the government, I don't trust the Fed, I don't trust the Treasury. So my question is, how long do you think, are you trying to say that the government will never be able to stop Bitcoin?
The government will never be able to stop Bitcoin. They can only control the conversions to USD.
Until I convert to dollars. But as long as I stay outside the U.S. criminal system, I'm okay.
Yes. And what's crazy is a lot of these new projects coming out this year are designed to be completely disconnected from any banks. So you can live your life completely without banks. The moment you transact in crypto, it stays in crypto.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting times. Like I said, only people, tyrants, despots, and governments. And one of the reasons I don't have any stocks is I don't trust the stock market, which is the investment banking system. So I'd rather invest in my own stocks per se.